Welcome one and all, and Shabbat Shalom. Great to have you here in the sanctuary at Ahavat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Matt, and with us, as always, is our cantorial soloist, Allison Rosoff. Down on the ivories, Joy Katz-Guthrie, with a nice hat and a little feather coming off the side. I don't know if you can see that at home. And welcome to all of you who are watching from the comfort of your home or wherever you are. As you might have seen in the opening slide, this is a very meaningful week in the Jewish calendar, which really includes the full range of emotions. Just days ago, in the beginning of the week, the world commemorated Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day, and the Jewish community of Pinellas County met at Congregation Beth Shalom. Allison and I were there. She sent a beautiful piece on Ni Ma'amin, a song of faith, for an evening of commemoration. Really stop whatever they're doing, even if they're driving a car on one of the main highways, and they stand in respectful silence for the length of that siren. It's really quite a sight to behold, and I really remember when I was living there about 25 years ago for my first year of rabbinical school. I remember it like it was yesterday. And just one day later, in a short 24-hour time span, Jews celebrate Yom HaAtzmaut. So this year is going to be the 75th anniversary of the modern state of Israel. And the Shabbat that falls in between Holocaust Memorial Day and Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut is known as Shabbat Tekuma. And the Hebrew word Tekuma means to reestablish oneself. And it's reminiscent of the words found in Israel's Declaration of Independence, which of course took place in 1948 May. In some of the words, Eretz Yisrael was the birthplace of the Jewish people. After being forcibly exiled from their land, Jews remained faithful to it throughout their dispersion and never ceased to pray and hope for the return to it and for the restoration in it of their political freedom. In this spirit, it's our pleasure to share with you, and hopefully you'll sing along to Rabbi Shlomo Karbach's beautiful rendition and arrangement of Am Yisrael Chai, the people of Israel lives. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael. Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael 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 Chai. Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu Chai, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. People of Israel still lives and thrives. Let's sing Light These Lights. And feel free to turn to page 2 in your Sidurim, in your prayer books, where you'll find the blessing for lighting the candles. say Amen. You can feel free to join me by reading on the screen piece by Elie Wiesel on Jerusalem, the holy city. Jerusalem, face visible yet in sap and blood, is You and I Will Change the World, which you can see right here. The text was written by Israeli singer-songwriter, the late Arik Einstein, and Mickey Gabrielov arranged the music for this. Though it's been said before, it doesn't matter. You and I will change the world. We'll start from the beginning. It may be difficult, but it's nothing. It's not so terrible. Ani ve'ata nishane et ha'olam. Ani ve'ata az yabo bar kulam. Amru et ze kodem lefanai ze lo mishaneh. Ani ve'ata nishane et ha'olam. Ani ve'ata ninase me'hatchala. Yeh lanu ra, ein davar ze lo nora. Amru et ze kodem lefanai ze lo mishaneh. Ani ve'ata nishane et ha'olam. On page 26, you'll find the words to the Chatzi Kaddish, words of praise.
Yitkadav, yitkadash me rabba, b'yamad yivrachute, b'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon u'b'yomechon, u'v'chayei de kol bet Yisrael, bagala, bagala, u'v'yizman kariv, v'yimaru, amen. Yeshmei rabba mevarach, le'olam olam me'yamaya, yitvarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yipa'ar, v'yiroman, v'yitnasei, v'yithadar, v'yitalev, v'yithalal, shemei de kedusha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, tamira be'ama, v'yimaru
thrice for Shema and its blessings, which begins on page 28 with a call to prayer. Please join me on 31, a prayer for the evening and the wonders of creation. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. And words of love on the bottom of 33, Ahavat Olam. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Let's sing Open Up Our Eyes together. Open our eyes, teach out and live. Fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one, and we will know that you are one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Elohim, Adonai Echad, Baruch For you to be seated, we'll continue chanting the Hafta, you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, soul, and might on 36. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom alevavecha Vishinantam levanecha, vidibarta bam, vishiftecha bevetecha, uvlechtecha vaderech, ushokmecha, uvkumecha, ukshartam leot ayadecha, vehayu letotafot bein einecha, Uchtavtam al mezuzot betecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru asitem et kol mitzvotai tem kedoshim leloechem ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. And words of truth and faith on 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land. The winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. There is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together as we sing Debbie Friedman's beautiful version of Who Was Like You, Mi Kamocha, on page 40. Malachutecha ra'uvanecha Okei ayam lifnei Moshe Miriam Ze'elianu ve'amru Ze'elianu ve'amru Adonai Eloho le'olam va'ed Adonai Eloho le'olam va'ed Halai la la ya la 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 ya la ya la 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 Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Praise are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Now, Sim will lead us in the Hashkivenu prayer of shelter and protection on 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom. V'hamirteinu shomreinu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, from sorrow and pain. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom. V'hamirteinu shomreinu
Let's continue now with the words of the Tefillah, our standing prayers, as we ask God to open our lips and receive our praise. Page 46.
Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi agir tahilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chazadim Tovim, V'koneh Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot v'Imot, U'bevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo v'Yava, Melech Ozer, U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Vezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol, Atah Rav L'Hoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechachel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Novdim Terafei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umechayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lechachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol.
Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'roshim b'chol yom yalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Feel free to be seated. The Emsot, the intermediate blessings, begin on 55 with A prayer for the holiness of this day of rest. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. And as we think about Israel and celebrate Israel this evening, words of Avodah on 56, Baruch atah Adonai HaMachazir Shechinato L'Tzion, that God's presence will always reside with us in Israel and wherever we live. And words of gratitude. 75, that's not too shabby for the state of Israel. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha u'lecha na'eh lehodot. For all these things and more, we offer thanks and our gratitude. And finally, our prayer of peace is Shalom Rav, found on page 60. Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people forever, for you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel, Ukraine, and the world with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, havarech et amo Yisrael. And for our musical reflection this evening, we're going to bring Israeli singer-songwriters beautiful Yerushalayim Zahav, Jerusalem of gold, copper, and silver. And we'll be singing the first verse. The mountain is clear as wine, and the fragrance of pine trees is carried in the evening breeze with the sound of bells. The chorus, Jerusalem of gold, bronze, and of light. Isa beruach harabayit kol pamoni utardemati lan va'even shuya b'choma ha'ir asher badad yosheven uvim liba choma Yerushalayim shel zahav shel nechoshet v'shel or halo lecho shirai anihino Yerushalayim shel zahav shel nechoshet v'shel or halo lecho shirai anihino. We'll take these moments now to offer a special prayer of healing. Mi sheberach, God the one who blesses those in need with strength and a sense of refuah shlema, a sense of healing. You'll find the words on the screen as well as on page 253 in the middle of your prayer books as we call to mind and to heart the following individuals for prayers of healing. Jacqueline Albin, Elaine Affendulis, Lori Bauk, Joanne Beeman Feidelman, Yonatan Ruven Ben Rivka, Charlie Burke, Babs Brown, Tina Bruns, Matthew Deinhardt, Harry Fleisch, David Friedlander, Denise Freifeld, Mitchell Freifeld, Sidel Freifeld, Lauren Herman, Kathy Howard, Graham Kligerman, Ken Mercerow, Melissa Miller, William Miller, Michael Ranzino, Rabbi Avram Reifer, Linda Roberts, Gary Rosenberg, Stephanie Ross, Kay Schleich, Dennis Schulman, Angie Sermenis, Karen Sermenis, Jeff Stark, Doris Stoyer, Marty Wassoff, and Kier. If there are any other names to add for healing at this time, feel free.
My father, George Stark. Mi sheberach avoti
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, rapid, unscheduled disassembly. That's how SpaceX described the final moments of yesterday's exciting 4-minute rocket flight. A test of the company's Starship rocket, replete with 32 Falcon engines that took off from Starbase, a launching pad in Boca Chica, Texas, just a stone's throw away from the Gulf of Mexico, on the other side. It's an interesting turn of phrase, but in lay people's term, rapid, unscheduled disassembly means one thing: an explosion, and a rather large one at that. Thankfully, this was an unmanned test, so no one was harmed, but in many ways, it was a success. There was a whole lot of cheering and hugs from the engineers at SpaceX, and even a shout out from former Senator Bill Nelson, the current administrator of NASA. The rocket, all 394 feet of it, not only cleared the launch pad, but made it about 25 miles into the stratosphere. And in doing so, it perfectly captured the ethos of SpaceX: fly, crash, learn, repeat. Now, most of the time, explosions aren't a good thing unless you're a pyrotechnics expert, and you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that. But SpaceX wasn't expecting this iteration of the Starship to survive. The fact is, sending a rocket of this size and complexity is exceedingly difficult. And I have to say, I do admire their chutzpah as they live stream all of their launches and landings, which include their successes as well as their spectacular failures. As a private company, SpaceX can afford to use this explode-as-you-go philosophy, but not every space agency has this luxury. In thinking about this launch attempt, I believe a connection can be made between the ethos of trial and error learning and the 75-year-old experiment in Jewish democracy that we call Eretz Yisrael, the land in the state of Israel. Israel is the spiritual home of our people and the focus of so many of our Shabbat, holiday, and daily blessings. From praying as we did a few moments ago for morning dew in the land of Israel during the spring and summer, to asking for rain to fall from the skies in the autumn and winter. Even our sanctuaries are facing eastward towards Jerusalem, Ir HaKodesh, holy city. In just a few days, on the 5th day of the Hebrew month of Iyar, Jews around the world celebrate Yom HaSukkot, Independence Day, on Wednesday, April 26th. That evening, that some of us will be the Jewish community at home. Even with the current tensions in Israel regarding the right-wing government's coalition's push for judicial reform, which seeks to give the Knesset or legislative branch the authority to overrule Supreme Court decisions. And even amidst the recent conflicts that took place in East Jerusalem and on the Temple Mount during the confluence of Passover, Ramadan, and Easter. As the late Israeli poet Yehuda Amichai once shared, the air over Jerusalem is saturated with prayers and dreams, like the air over industrial cities. Sometimes it's hard to breathe. Israel was, is, and will be a complex place. To quote Amichai once again in a poem, Jerusalem's stone is the only stone in the world which feels pain. There is in it a web of nerves. And though we live thousands of miles from Israel, we should strive to create a strong connection to our ancient homeland. Indeed, Ahavat Yisrael, or loving Israel, is a mitzvah or sacred obligation for every Jew, whether Reform, Reconstructionist, conservative, or even Orthodox. Like all democracies, Israel is far from perfect, but it's built on a foundation of values that it does share with the United States: equality and freedom. And like our system of government, it rests, at least currently, on a bedrock of checks and balances, which do get tested at times. For instance, our nation's obsession with deadly weapons, fueled in part by our Constitution, has led to an astonishing and horrendous spate of gun violence, with many, many innocent victims. So it's clear that things are far from perfect here as well. As a democracy, however, Israel is unique because it's Jewish. Unlike most other countries in the world, including the U.S., Israel wasn't meant to be a melting pot. In fact, it was meant to be quite the opposite. It was created to provide a homeland and safe haven for the Jewish people, and at the same time to show the world the values and ethics that Jews believe in. Ideally, it's meant to serve as an example of how a modern nation can embody the highest aspirations we can reach as human beings, or as the prophet Isaiah once put it, to be a light unto the nations, an or lagoyim. Out of the ashes of the Holocaust, the Jewish people created a nation that is still a beacon of democracy, even though it falters from time to time. Perhaps the late Rabbi Sir Jonathan Sacks said it best: it's no accident that so many Jews are economists fighting poverty, or doctors fighting disease, or lawyers fighting injustice, in all cases refusing to see these things as inevitable. It's no accident that after the Holocaust, Jews did not solely call it al-Nakba, a catastrophe, choosing to nurse resentment and revenge. But instead, Israel turned to the future, building a nation whose anthem is Ha-Tikvah, the hope. And it's no accident that Judaism has been opposed by every nation and every empire that sought to deny people the freedom to be equal but different. And it's no accident that Israel is still today the only free society in the Middle East. When I look at the matzav, what they call the current situation in Israel, issues abound. There are leadership problems as well as internal divisions among its citizenry, between Ashkenazim and Sephardim, between religious and secular Jews. But at the same time, I also have hope, because on more than one occasion, Israel has gone what Jews call a cheshbon hanefesh. In other words, a time of soul searching, just as we're asked to do every fall during the High Holy Days. Our task as Israel celebrates its 75th anniversary is to remind ourselves that even today there is still much to celebrate. Israel has brought so many achievements and modern miracles to the world since its rebirth as a modern nation, and it does remain a holy land. For as we saw and sang earlier this evening, Am Yisrael, the people, the land, and the state of Israel still lives, and more importantly, even with all of its challenges, it still thrives. Thinking back to where America was at 75 years young, our country was headed towards the Civil War. Slavery was still the law of the land in many southern states, and the Emancipation Proclamation wouldn't be issued by President Lincoln for another 12 years after tremendous bloodshed. In so many places, racism and injustice ruled the day, and today we're still facing the ramifications of these evils in our country. So Israel is far from perfect, yet the world still needs it because Israel has so much to give and to teach. A month ago, about 500,000 Israelis demonstrated against the current Knesset coalition. It was the largest example of civil disobedience in Israeli history, at least in modern times. Their aim was to show their displeasure regarding the legislative overreach currently in discussion. It's unclear what this civil unrest and these discussions in Israel will lead to. But one thing's for sure. To echo the biblical Amos, not famous Amos the cookie guy, but rather the one who lived about 2,800 years ago, he said, "I am neither a prophet nor the child of a prophet." Let's hope that democracy and the current system of checks and balances continue to be the watchword of our Jewish homeland. Israel is part of our personal and collective DNA. It flows within us and it flows through us. And all of us can work to remember and be proud of what Israel has accomplished. As a nation, Israel still strives for shalom, peace with its neighbors and peace within its borders. And as the sun sets in the evening, at least on a clear day, the panorama of Jerusalem and the Old City still radiates a golden glow. As the saying goes, Bashana haba'a b'Yerushalayim. Next year, may we be in Jerusalem to experience the wonder of the country and touch those stones that have feelings. Until then, let's celebrate the fact that even though Israel's democracy has its ups and downs, there's always hope, tikva, for a brighter tomorrow. Shabbat Shalom. Another way that we make a connection to the land and people of Israel is through counting the Omer, which was a biblical measure of barley, because this is the beginning of the barley harvest in the land of Israel long ago and probably still today. So this is our nice Omer calendar. And if you want to come closer after services, you'll see there's some artwork there as well. And you'll find the blessing and the intention both on the screens as well as on page 278, as the counting of the Omer traditionally is said right before the concluding prayer of Aleinu. So if you'd like to join me first in the attention, Hinani Muchan Umzuman Lekayem Mitzvat Aseh Shel Sfirat HaOmer, meaning I'm ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. And the blessing, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Asher Kishanu B'mitzvotav V'tzivanu Al Sfirat HaOmer. We praise you, God, for the sacred obligation of counting the Omer, and I will fill in the blanks in the prayer book, and you'll find them right there on the screen. Hayom Shisha Asar Yom, Shehem Shnei Shavuot Du Shnei Yamim LaOmer, which means the 16th day of the Omer. I'll ask us all to rise now as we share the words of Aleinu, the adoration, and the ark is open. Page 282 and 287.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, l'tikdula le'otzeh breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, ve'lo sama איש בכל הרמה שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו כחמונם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד
You'll find the words to Kaddish Home, Morris Kaddish, Words of Praise, on 294. So we think of families and friends in the period of Shloshim, first 30 days, mourning a loved one. So we remember fondly Michael Markovsky, friend of Myron Graff, Marshall Greenman, husband of Glenda Greenman, Virginia Cashian, friend of Bill and Linda Ross, and Helene Haskell, friend of Lynn Rosenthal. We also mark the yahrzeit anniversary of passing of loved ones. On the Shabbat, we remember Edward Abo, Steve Alcorn, Stanley Barnett, Harold Arthur Bergner, Max Berman, Catherine Devine, Bess Entel, Jonathan Friedman, Irma Friedman Kaufman, Inga Goldberg, Nathan Goldman, Ida Gordon, Louis P. Greiner, Rachel Morningstar Hoffman, Faye Joseph, Yetta Karp, Helene Katz, Sadie Kessler, Martin Kornfeld, Herbert Kotler, David Kushner, Evelyn Levy, Blanche Miller, Harvey Nemiroff, Sarah Paturik, Betty Polanco, Charles Salzberg, Alfred Schick, Madeline Solomon, Benami Teitelroyd, Wayne Van Ness, Stanley Weinstein, Harold G. Wenig. Are there any other names to add for yahrzeit at this time? We say Zichronam Libracha, may the memories of all of these good people continue to be a blessing in their friends and loved lives as we rise to offer the words of Kaddish praise together. Yikadal v'yitkadosh shemei Rabbah, Ya'aman livrach yirtei malchutei, Ha'echon of Yomechon of Chayei Beit Yisrael, Galam Yimru Kol Yisrael Yimru Amen, Usei Shalom B'Ramah Yasei Shalom, Aleichem Kol Yisrael Yimru Amen. The one who causes peace in the heavens, causes peace to descend on us, Israel, and everywhere in the world that needs a sense of shalom or peace. Lech haolam, borei b'riat amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher nitanu elotam, v'ratzamanu, v'shamato Shabbat Kodecha B'Ahava U'Ratzon Inchaltanu Baruch Atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim, to life. And And let's sing the Motzi together. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Our tech team tonight is Saul Tave and the ever-lovely Bruce Lowett. This Sunday, April 23rd, let me tell you something. Rabbi said during his talk that we often say, next year let us join together in Jerusalem. Well, that's exactly what Temple Ahavat Shalom is going to be doing. So this is a little tip that keep your eyes open, because we are going back to Israel as a congregation. The trip will be in 2024, and we've been working on plans. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful trip. Yes, June of 2024, I should say. This Sunday, April 23rd, Sisterhood will be hosting a family Shavuot scavenger hunt and ice cream social after religious school. The Jewish community of Pinellas County, as Rabbi said, will be celebrating Israel Independence Day at Temple B'nai Israel in Clearwater this coming Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. with food, crafts, dance, socializing, and more. Next Friday, April 28th, I hope you'll all be here and bring your friends. We're having a social action Shabbat dedicated to strengthening our bonds with the local Ukrainian community. And it's a larger community than we're aware of, praying for peace together. We're inviting congregants, we have invited congregants from the Epiphany of Our Lord Ukrainian Orthodox Church to join us here at Temple Ahavat Shalom. Dr. Sergei Borisov will be our speaker. He has been involved in relief efforts over the past year and a half tremendously. He'll be joining us. It should be a fascinating evening. I understand we will have music as well. Those of you who were here when we had our Ukrainian singer know how beautiful that is. On May 3rd, I should mention to you that in addition to playing here, Joy is the program director at the Palm Harbor Museum, which has a Profiles in Courage speaking series. She has been doing this for quite some time. I will be presenting on May 3rd on our own Frank Weiner, who was one of the founders of this temple, one of the earlier champions. The religious school is named after him. That speech will be up at the Palm Harbor Library on Nebraska Avenue. The Empty Nesters group, under the tutelage of the Taves, particularly Phoebe, will meet on May 20th for dinner at O'Keefe's in Clearwater, followed by a live performance of Beauty and the Beast at Wilson House. Please call Phoebe if you want to come, or you can RSVP online on the Temple website. Finally, I invite everybody to...
Thank you so much, Ed. And we do have some Israeli themed, I know we have some hummus and vegetables and a really cool cupcake with a nice Israeli logo. Actually, the first slide that you saw when you were coming in, it's going to look exactly like that, but these other looks on the screen. So our closing song, O Heavenly One, which is a prayer for the state of Israel. Avinu Shabashamayim Sur Yisrael V'Goalo. Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there, as we say, Amen. And whenever you're in a sanctuary in this country, your Israeli flag is always going to be on your right as we sing the Hope. Kol od baleva enima nefesh Yehudi homiha vatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia. Feel free to be seated. We'll conclude with our prayer for help.